I got my own personal Brooksa out.
Mariska!
Hello, everybody. I am Will.
And I'm Kristen.
And this is So I'm Watching The Witcher, Season 2, Episode 1.
A Grain of Truth. They played that Truth or Stab My Dad's Portrait in the Face game.
Yeah. Okay. I don't know.
Title rating out of 10. 6.
I don't know your relationship to us, this show, yada yada. I didn't love the first season.
We both didn't love it. I liked it more than you did.
You liked it way more than I did.
But I didn't love it. But I have been weirdly pumped for season 2.
Yeah, we're coming in hot off of very abysmal The Wheel of Time coverage. That did not work for us at all. My issue is I find, as someone who does like high fantasy, I find a lot of it to be very uninspired and very derivative. I have seen medieval villages before, and that's not what I'm like interested in from my fantasy. Sure. So all of that is to say, I don't know if I just didn't get it before or if they've evened it out a little bit, but I loved this.
So I have a twofold theory.
Okay.
The first is, despite other people enjoying it, and like I think we're in the minority, the out of order storytelling of season 1 left me very confused the first time around. So when I rewatched it the other day, I felt better about it because I already knew what was happening and I could more easily place things a little bit in the timeline. And the second fold of that is, I think this is a very classic case of season 1 did all the world building and now we're doing character work, which is way more our bag.
Yeah. So there's a fantasy trope where if you have like fantasy characters, you just throw all of the vowels at them.
Sure.
And it's just, I don't like the jargon. I don't like the terminology. And I'm sorry, Nilfgaard is a excessively stupid word. It takes me out every single time they say it. I'm like, I can't know who is allowing this place to be, because the first place I go is Milfgard, and then it like turns into like one of those terrible like movie parody movies from like the 2000s, and it's awful.
Well, I will say whichever, I guess that's right. I forgot they were books too. It's like books and then a video game and now a TV show.
Did it start books or did the books come after the video game?
I think it started books.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, okay. In that case, this very Eastern European person's name who I cannot pronounce. There's a Z and a J and a P next to a K.
Regardless, there's just so many characters, and I have a like speech impediment where I have a hard time with vowels.
Yeah.
I went to therapy for it. I did phonics work. It had marginal success.
It's E and I only are your problem.
But there's so many characters that their names are like Tyraisa, and I'm like Taisara, and you guys are like, it's so clearly Taisara, you idiot. And I'm like,
it's Tissaia. Or no, actually, there's not even an R. So, okay, Romilda Vane is Triss. And then Mayanna Burning is Tissaia. So they're two different people. That is too close together. We should have pulled a Game of Thrones and named one of them something different for the show.
And then the obligatory plug, Fairy Tale, by Fairy Tale on Amazon.com. I've written a fantasy novel, an extended fantasy novel. And one of the things that I did very intentionally was give when I was naming characters and places and stuff, I picked very tangible, graspable names where I said like, it's things like Valencia and Saffron and Luna are like what the kingdoms are called, because it's just, they like paint a picture, but also it's sort of like, I got it. Like I'm there.
It's easy to say and spell.
This was really funny to me. It was like weird and funny in a way that like I remember the humor, or what I viewed as attempts at humor, being in the first season, but I don't know, it worked better.
So watching it again, season 1 is funnier.
Is it?
Than we
Okay.
found it the first time around. I think the biggest issue is that neither one of us really knew what to expect. We were like, ooh, Henry Cavill's wearing a white wig. Let's do it. And we didn't really get what we were going in for.
So to be redundant, because it's like settled in for me, but I think you are absolutely correct, where it's just sort of like, because I still don't really care about what the overall story is.
Mm-hmm.
I just love that we got to spend time with Geralt and Ciri, and it just like, I don't know, it worked. I did like the monster of the week format here. I don't frequently or don't always. It was a particularly me type of monster.
Yeah.
Like literally this Murshka from Van Helsing isn't a joke, because when they got to the village, I was like, this is like the Van Helsing village.
It even looked just like it. So it picks up right after the battle that ended season 1, but Yennefer has been taken prisoner by Fringilla.
Okay, so there's Centra in the north.
Yeah.
And there's Nilfgaard in the south. And Nilfgaard is going to
attacking
war against Centra. And Centra is where Ciri and Queen Calanthe and all of that was. And that's where, like 70 years ago, I guess, or 50 years ago, Geralt was at the wedding where the whole Law of Surprise thing happened.
Well, it has to be only as many years as Ciri is old, because Pavetta was pregnant with her at that
so
thing.
15, 20, whatever. And I do love, because I never comprehended the Law of Surprise, and I like that the show is just treating it like...
You get it. So, okay, basically what it is if you save a man's life, this is like what happens in the show. Geralt saved his life, and so instead of payment with money, he said, I'll claim the Law of Surprise, which essentially means that Cirilla's father owes him something he already has but does not know he has, which is the baby.
But there's no need for it to be that complicated. I think that's why it's so funny.
Yeah.
And because I know what I have.
No, but like, if one of my gifts in there for you was, you don't know, it's going to be yours, but you don't know it yet.
So why would someone else want that though? It's curated specifically for me.
Sometimes it can be just like, they explain it in the first season. Sometimes it can just be like an extra bag of gold, or like a bumper crop or something.
It's arbitrarily convoluted in a way that they were treating it like... The fact that they were acknowledging that here made it land more for me.
But it's also like, because the wedding between Cirilla's parents is because the Dooney claimed Pavetta as a Law of Surprise because he didn't know he had a child when Dooney saved Pavetta's Ciri's father, the hedgehog.
The porcupine?
Yeah.
Okay.
Or porcupine. So it's like 2 generations in a row now this family has had a child surprise.
It's very funny in a way that it wasn't landing for me before. But so, and then Yennefer is a mage, and mages and witchers are both magic.
Yeah.
And she trained with mages. And
at that like school, that was like half her arc in season 1.
And that's the Tissaia, is like her teacher.
Yeah.
And they're just training to be mages because people be needing mages.
Sort of. But I think you have to like show, you have to have a moment where you like show, because like Yennefer did something at the very beginning that like called them to her to like take her.
But I mean, like, what are the mages training for? To be mages? Because people need mages.
Yeah.
So, and then Frangilla was also there, but...
Fringilla.
I don't care. And she was good, bad.
Well, she basically...
Good at being bad?
Yennefer was supposed to go to Nilfgaard, and then she was like, no, make me hot. And then she came into that party after they made her hot.
But I thought all of them got hot. Like, I thought that was...
No.
Oh.
Yeah. You don't have to... All of them were already hot. She was the only one that wasn't classically hot. And so she basically was like, make me hot. And then she went into the party and essentially said, fuck you to my assignment, and went to like the one where Fringilla was supposed to go.
I should watch season 1 again.
Yeah. So when she took Fringilla's post, Fringilla had to go to Nilfgaard.
Okay.
So that's why, and then it ended up setting this whole thing into motion because with Fringilla in Nilfgaard with Cahir, they sort of joined forces and were like, we can take this whole bitch
Cahir's
down.
cheekbones?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And he's currently being tortured by Tissaia.
Yeah, I think he might be done though. She really got his fingers, or her fingers all the way in his brain.
So at the end of last season, there was a big battle and a whole bunch of the mages died, although maybe not.
Well, I think Triss is fine, and that's Romilda Vane from Harry Potter. So I think she's okay. They were like,
I remember liking Sabrina.
She was the blonde one.
Yeah,
right?
she's credited in this season, but I don't know if that's just one of those potential spoilers. Sorry. Yeah. I don't know if that's one of those IMDb things where
maybe. Yeah, I don't know.
There's like a nebulous period around the release date. Yeah. Well, once something's like a year or two old, they've got it on lock, but
it doesn't help us right now.
And then apparently fire magic is like illegal, which that also feels arbitrary to me.
Especially because the only reason I guess we would have sort of found out in this episode, but the only reason we know that is because we watched the 6-minute previously on The Witcher thing. It was good though.
I needed another 2 more times to get it all right, yeah. But it did wonders. Oh, okay. So she showed up and like threw down and killed 30,000 people, or I guess that's probably the whole battle. Potentially,
but still, her fire, I think,
her fire incinerated 37 bodies.
No, it had to be like the most bodies were killed by the fire because they were like something about like 4,000 this, 5,000 that, and then 20,000 of blah, blah, blah. And I was like, oh my God. And I was like, that's 29,000 people.
So Ciri and Geralt have caught back up to each other.
Yes.
Geralt's just working so much. So I think I've decided that I do like Henry Cavill.
Yeah.
He's it's not really an elephant, but he just seems like a jerk. He seems just kind of like
I think he's a little bit of a dick, and I also don't care.
Well, it's the kind of thing that it's like if you know that about someone, or if they know it, I don't know. I was enjoying all of it so much more. He seemed, and this is laughable, but he seemed warmer in this. It seemed more lived in for me.
Well, I also think he's not fighting his main purpose of destiny anymore. He like found Cirilla and he's like doing his duty now.
They have good chemistry.
They do.
It is, very, like you say, blessedly not sexual.
Yeah.
At least not yet. How old is she meant to be at this point?
I think she's only meant to be like 16, 15
really?
Or 16. Yeah.
Okay. She seems very sweet.
A little naive,
but not in a debilitating way.
Yeah.
And I think I'm actually sort of the most intrigued by her.
Yeah. Well, she has powers and she doesn't 100% get it yet.
That.
Yeah.
But I think she learned in this episode.
Yeah.
Like, this didn't feel like we were just wasting time. It felt like they were using the of the week to further character work. You're right. You're just like right out of the gate, cut, print. Like,
I'm saying it's like, because that's the thing. I mean, it's not like there's no character work in season 1, but also there is a point where I get tired of Yennefer wanting a baby because I'm just like, girl, the trade-off was perfect. And also in that 6-minute recap, it kept on saying trying to heal her womb. And I was like, her entire womb has exited her body. There's no healing that. You have to grow a new womb. Like, what are we doing here? What is happening?
But yeah, and I remember thinking it was unnecessarily like TVMA. I was like, this is TV-14 at best. And I felt like they were going too hard with the violence and the language and the nudity. And all of that felt so much more
earned in this
here. Like just tonally, it felt more.
Yeah. I think because you mentioned something about one aspect of it looking a little cheap. It was something about, I think it was something Yennefer was wearing
It's a dress from last season.
When you caught me watching season 1 yesterday. And I just sort of was like, I get it, but also I know that there are like fans of this video game and that wanted this show, but I also still think it's kind of a gamble. And so I think that in season 2, they were like, oh no, this is like a legitimate hardcore hit. We're going to do it.
But furthermore, look at the designs of the video game. They're way more textured, way more layered, way more like, there's just a richness and a deepness in a way that like a lot of the stuff and the attempt was there. So, I mean, credit a show that I have complicated feelings and history about Once Upon a Time. I mean, that was a mixed bag.
Yeah.
And my actual enjoyment was kind of 40-60 when it came to like the wardrobe, but you cannot say they didn't try.
They tried a lot. Yeah.
So I give credit for trying, but it was like in particular in this episode, she's still wearing that rope dress. Mm-hmm. And I was like, it looks like a Project Runway. Like they were given a table of materials and someone got stuck with like the like upholstery.
Yeah. Well, I don't want to like hurt your feelings, but she is a prisoner right now. She is going to be wearing that for a couple episodes. So
it's fine. Well, because it can look bad now, but regardless. So I actually just loved the of the week.
Yeah.
I really liked Nivellen. Mm-hmm. The whole time I was like, why is this weird? This feels unnecessarily weird. And thankfully, by the time all the cards are on the table, mm-hmm. I was like, oh, it
was like being, honestly more heartbreaking than weird. It was just sad. It was just like really sad all around.
And like it just this, like I said, Van Helsing, Beauty and the Beast, Legend of Medusa, like it was just this very interesting. He was what is his name?
Christopher Hughes
from Game of Thrones.
Tormund.
Very charming.
Yeah.
And the practical makeup. I mean, yeah, it was like a guy in a like practical, but it looked good. I don't know.
I care?
The entire production felt even.
I would prefer not to have a CGI monster instead.
But we got a CGI monster in this episode, and it felt like they were part of the same production.
I meant like a monstrous CGI man.
Yes.
Not the CGI monster was great.
I really liked Verena.
I really liked when she was talking to Ciri.
It was so cool. And again, it didn't need, I mean, for my enjoyment, it needed to be cool and a take or whatever. But it's like she could have, like, she's basically, so they call it a Bruxa. She's basically a vampire.
Sort of, yeah.
And
she's got 2 rows of teeth, though. There's like more to it. Yeah.
Well, and
it's extra. But
she had several different visual effects. First of all, her eyes were weird.
Yeah. And then she was kind of choppy, like how Scarlet Witch used to be.
Yeah, or like in like the Ring or the Grudge or whatever, the crawling on the ceiling. And it just, I really like how and it was the whole point of the episode, but it's the what is a monster? Because I don't know if I was just being Edmund with the White Witch, but I was just like, she seems actually nice, though.
Well, I think that's the whole point, and that's what kind of makes it sad, is because she was nice, and
she was attempting,
and Nivellen was like letting her feed on him to like curb her impulses, but she was still eating everyone in the village.
I believe that when things were going well, she was not going to harm Ciri, but she was like, I will rip her throat out, and I mean, I think if pushed, she would have done that, but it was, you're right. It was very, very touching. And
it was like a gothic romance. There was the moment where he was like, do you have a cat? And I just was like, oh, don't worry. It's just my crazy wife, Bertha, in the attic. And I was just like,
my ex-wife locked in the attic.
Such a gothic romance.
I don't know.
Really
it was, I was genuinely sad when Geralt cut her head off, and then it like broke the curse. Why did it break the curse?
Because she loved him.
So
it was very Beauty and the Beast.
Okay.
She loved him.
And we then find out that the actual reason why is that because he admitted that he fell into like a bad crowd and had ransacked a temple. But the actual reason why he was cursed is because he raped the priestess, which, I mean, disgusting all around. But also, I mean, don't rape a priestess.
Yeah.
Like
fucking crazy.
I was like, dude, that's just.
Do you want to be cursed as a boar man? Because that's how you get cursed as a boar man.
No, but I really just that ending note, because it's like we like to live in a world where we think things are so black and white, where, and again, I'm aware it was the point. I'm aware it was a little, it wasn't exactly subtle, but it was very, who is the monster?
Yeah. Because
both the man and the monster showed elements of both. Yeah. Like, I don't know. It completely worked for me.
Yeah, it was great. I think this was a really good, like, beginner of this season. And I also then with Fringilla and Yennefer, all of the soldiers that are with them escorting them back got hella impaled. And I think it's the forest people from season 1.
The dryads?
Yeah.
they're way in the cold.
They're humans.
Do you want to kill a dryad? That's how you kill a dryad. No. And then, so Geralt is trying to get to Kaer Morhen,
which is, I guess, the Witcher place.
Colony, where they're from.
He still needs healing. He got bit by that weird thing in season 1, so that would be interesting if we get more Witchers.
So I'm actually just kind of pumped to go keep watching. So
yeah, we'll be back with episode 2. Bye.